Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So I've been running two great farms for a while right now, and I've helped hundreds, if not thousands, of people start their farms. I've communicated with them, and I can tell you that throughout my cycle of starting and running farms, there is a common cycle that most farmers usually go through. The reason I want to make this video is that I want to explain this cycle to you because I personally also went through it. Hopefully, if you go through this cycle and understand how it works, then you'll have a better chance of you succeeding. Usually this is what happens for the people who do succeed. Now the people who do fail usually give up at some point along the journey, and that's going to be the four-step cycle for the success of every business, or in this case it's a farm. This works literally in everything in life, but I've personally realized it for my farm and for a lot of farmers, and I know it can work for you. So if that is you, stick around right through to the end of the video. You're going to find it very helpful. We'll start with the very first step. The first step is uninformed optimism. Now, of course, I'm going to try and explain this to the bare minimum. Forget about the complicated terms. So you've probably been watching my YouTube videos. You've seen a lot of videos on YouTube, on a lot of social media platforms. I mean, these things are everywhere these days, where people are giving you a lot of hope and showing you the beautiful side of a farm. I mean, I'm sharing with you guys. You guys can see how beautifully my farm is performing. You know, we are probably raising and selling a lot of goats. I'm probably selling a lot of chickens, making a lot of money, or I'm producing a lot of eggs, making a lot of money. You're seeing all these free-range rabbits around on my farm, and you're like, whoa, this is something I've always had passion for. I want to get into this thing. I want to do this thing. So what do? You get outside there and you're like, whoa, okay, Dr. Daniel has been doing a farm. I also want to start doing a farm. Very, very easy. So you look at other people. You don't dive so much into the details. You don't understand how they do what they do. You don't understand why they do it. You don't understand the technicalities, the nitty-gritties involved inside there. And you're like, I want to go and start the business. I want to go and start that kind of farm. That's called uninformed optimism. You don't have the knowledge, you don't have, I would say, the circumstantial information. I'll tell you something that I've always spoken about on this channel. If someone, for example, wants to start a commercial broiler farm, you don't just go out and start it anywhere. Because someone else has started it and they have been successful in a particular area, that doesn't mean it will also be successful in your area. Because, for example, for me, where I stay right now, it's a bit of a village setting, a bit rural. And right here, I mean, people don't really enjoy broiler meat. I mean, it's starting to pick up, but I mean, you're not going to produce 1,000 broiler chickens every week and you sell them here. It's impossible. You're going to be losing money. So if you just get out, you go and see someone who is in the city somewhere, or someone who's doing a farm somewhere, probably in another rural area, but for them it's really working, it's making a lot of money. You just come over here, dump your money, decide, okay, I'm going to start it over here. No one is doing it here, I'm going to do it. You just come, dump the money and start it. That's called uninformed optimism. I mean, sometimes you could be lucky that you start out and everything works out really well, but a lot of times you're going to follow this cycle. So you're going to get into this uninformed optimism, then you get your money, invest into the business, and you're going to find yourself in the second thing. And what is this second thing? Informed pessimism. So just like that, I mean, this happened for me. Now, for me, when I was starting out, I tried to avoid uninformed optimism as much as possible. So I tried to learn as much as possible while starting out. So went and visited a lot of farmers, not a lot, but a few farmers, read as much as possible. That one I can tell you I did. Read as much, looked all over the internet, watched a lot of YouTube videos, tried to make sure I'm not as uninformed as possible. I was still optimistic, but not as uninformed. And then once I started, I actually really went into now proper informed pessimism. So I started the farm, and when I started, I thought the price of maize at that particular point was like, I'll say it in Ugandan shillings because for me here it's easier, 600 Ugandan shillings per kilogram of maize. I was like, okay, that's what it is. And meanwhile, I was given this price by someone whose farm was like over 100 kilometers away from my farm. I don't even know what I was thinking. I was thinking, the price is the same for everything all around the country. What the hell was wrong with me? Anyway, it's like, deciding to buy fuel and you think the price of fuel is the same in all parts of your country. In some countries, maybe it is, but in most countries, no. I know in some countries, the price of fuel can even be twice in one place compared to another. Anyway, so that's what I thought. Unfortunately, when I started the farm, first of all, the starting price was already much higher. So I thought it was 600. I started with 900. And then at a particular point, it kept increasing until I reached 1,300. That's more than twice what I thought. Yeah. So usually what happens is that once you start the farm, then you realize everything else you didn't know about the farm. Yeah, you realize that management is actually a problem. You realize that these things are actually complicated. You realize that chickens can actually die. You realize that you have to vaccinate. You realize that you have to start mixing feed. You realize all the complexities that you never thought about. Yeah, and then that's when you start thinking, damn, what am I going to do? I mean, for me, that's what personally happened. Yeah, I reached a point and I was thinking to myself, I had to borrow money. I had to ask a friend of mine. I have a friend who is a doctor who I borrowed some money from to, help me run the farm. Luckily enough, I reached a point where the farm was making some money so I could pay back the money. But man, that was a really tough point. Yeah, that's informed pessimism. Now you've moved away from your lack of information. Now that you're in the thing, you're actually doing the real thing. Now you start getting the proper information, and then when this information comes to you, you actually notice things are not as easy as you imagined. You kept seeing Dr. Daniel moving around with his chickens, moving around with his rabbits, moving around with his eggs, selling, coming here telling you that he's making money. Poultry farming can be profitable. But whoa, it's true, maybe it can be profitable, but whoa, okay, this is really hard, this is really tough. That's the second point, yeah? And a lot of people will move from that into the third, which is the valley of despair. Now, the valley of despair is where a lot of farmers give up. Yeah. When you get into the valley of despair, probably your chickens have died. Yeah. So you've lost a lot of chickens. Maybe they have gotten sick. You've been struck by a disease. Yeah. For me, for my past project, the point for me getting into the valley of despair was when the price of feeds was so high. At that point, when the price of feeds is so high, you're like, what the hell? What did I get myself into? What kind of business is this? Will I even survive a few years? Will I manage? Very, very possible, yeah? I've seen it for a lot of people. For example, for someone, it might be the prices of eggs go so low. For example, just recently, the prices of eggs dropped so low. And if you hadn't been someone who is very calculative, someone who is very passionate, someone who is very focused, someone whose heart is really in the business, you're going to get to the point of giving up. Yeah, that's the valley of despair. Now, for a lot of people, the valley of despair is a place. Yeah. Now, the first two, I would say, are stages, but this one is a literal place. Yeah, where you feel it. Yeah, you can feel it, and like I've said, it's the point of giving up for a lot of people. And this is what tests your strength. I'm a Christian, a believer in the Bible, and there's a verse that says, if you faint or if you break down in times of trouble, then there was nothing to you in the first place. That's it, yeah? So if you're the kind of person who, when hard times come, difficult times come, you just break, you give up, then really there was nothing to you in the first place, right from the start. You just thought that you had some form of grit or something like that, but there was nothing to you. Now I want to tell you that most likely it's going to happen. It doesn't matter how much information you've actually gotten from me, how much information you've gathered from a lot of places, you're probably going to get to a point of valley of despair, because a lot of the things can be learned, but there's still a significant portion of things that needs to be learned through experience. And what learning through experience actually usually means is learning through bad things. Yeah, learning through tough times, learning through difficulty dealing with a particular client or the market, learning through, problems with the feeding, learning through a particular disease, learning through something like that, yeah? That is going to be the actual learning, yeah? You're learning from experience, but it's going to be a problem. So you have to be ready to move through these tough times. Now, if you are the kind of person who then accepts and moves through that tough time, then you build yourself up, you build your confidence up, and then you move on to the next step. Which next step is informed optimism, okay? So we started with uninformed optimism. Now we have gotten to a place where we now exactly understand what we are dealing with. I personally got to that point, yeah, where I now understood what I was dealing with. Now I understood that the prices of feeds, for example, fluctuate a lot. They vary from very low to very high, back to low, back to high, okay? Cool. Now I know what to do with that. I understood that the management on the farm is actually quite important. You have to deal with workers in a particular way and things like that. Okay, cool. Quite important. I understood, the market is something that I need to learn how to deal with and to be stable and probably bring the birds in cycles and things like that. I was like, okay, that is really, really good. Now I've understood how to deal with this. Yeah. So When I did that, then I became confident. Yeah, I have this optimism, but it's informed. How is it informed? Because now I understand, what I need to do for me to have the correct results. Yeah, I'm not just like at the start where I was like, okay, Dr. Daniel, he has his farm. He's making a lot of money. Let me go and start a farm. I'll make a lot of money. I'm like, okay, now Dr. Daniel has his farm. And, these are the kinds of problems he faces. And for him to make money, he has to deal with these problems this particular way. And when he deals with these problems like this, then he makes money. Yeah, that's what I do. I understand that there's a cost to pay. I understand that there's a cost to pay for the workers on the farm. I understand that there's a cost to pay. For example, I have to sink a borehole. Spent about over $10,000 on that borehole and the water tank and things like that. I understand that I have to spend money to get money. I understand that probably I'll be dealt a few blows probably when the prices drop once in a year or once every 2 years, something like that. But I still have these other added advantages, these added benefits. Yeah, and when you get to that point of informed optimism, that's where success really starts kicking off. Now, what you need to understand is that for a lot of people, it will take quite an amount of time for them to stay in the valley of despair. I mean, for me particularly, I remember when I was hit by a disease. At that point, it was fall typhoid. Yeah, fall typhoid hit the farm, and my chickens died. I sold them off. I think I spent a few months with no birds on the farm. Yeah, I was in the valley of despair. I was thinking to myself, should I really get back to this? Do I need to restart? I knew that I need to do this thing, but I was in the valley of despair. Now, a lot of people stay in the valley of despair for so long and end up not moving on to the point of informed optimism. Yeah, because number one, they are not willing to take lessons from their failures or from the difficulties. You see, a lot of times when difficulties come, those are supposed to be learning experiences for you, points for you to learn. Yeah, once you learn from there, then you implement that information in the different directions. So once you learn from what happened during the uninformed optimism and the informed pessimism, then your valley of despair time will be shortened, and then you get to the point of informed optimism much quicker. And after informed optimism, that's the final step. The final step will be success, because when you do have now informed optimism, you know exactly what to do, what to implement, the price to pay, the difficulties to face for you to attain the goal that you attain. So personally, that's the point that I'm at. So right now, it's very easy for me to start a farming business, a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, because I know exactly what to do. Yeah. Now for the other farming businesses, I'm not going to go through this entire period. Yeah, probably if it's completely different from like poultry farming or goat farming, because these I have personally gone through. Yeah, the others, when I do start them, I know exactly how it's going to flow, and the business is going to pick up and grow really quickly. Yeah, so you need to understand these 4 steps, understand that they're going to happen to you in one way or another, and it's important you realize when you're there, because if you don't realize, you could just get sad and give up. Yeah, don't give up. Utilize this information to help you grow and succeed on your farm. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell. Catch you very soon with another video. Lots of love. Bye-bye.